Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Modern Mixtape TV. My name is Natalie Brodnick, and today I'm here with Aden Dubin and Zach Pacuraru from the band Running in Circles, who will be releasing their self-titled EP on January 13th. So how are you guys doing today?
Doing all right.
We're doing great.
Great. Well, I know the release is coming up, so kind of walk me through how you're feeling as the release day approaches.
So it's been a wild journey since we started this in like April. We're just so excited to be on the home stretch of this big project. But this isn't like the end. It's just the beginning of so much that we have to do and we have in store for all of our fans and people yet to be fans. So we're just really trying to work on, promoting the EP and getting it out to as many ears as possible.
Yeah. And then like one thing I always like to ask is like if you could describe this EP in like 3 words to anyone who hasn't heard your music before, what would it be?
Okay. For one, I would give Aiden, we can collaborate on this one, but
yeah,
I'd give a word, probably very diverse in terms of the kinds of tracks you'll be hearing. And I think that's sort of different than like most EPs. Like, this is sort of a very cohesive project, start to finish. So it's pretty exciting.
yeah. Yeah, cohesive is a great term. I would also say like I don't know, more abstract, like electrifying, because this is a new sound that we're exploring in a lot of the songs that you'll be hearing. And yeah, it's very, yeah, as he said, diverse.
Yeah. So, and then you kind of talked about it being like a cohesive project. Would you say that this EP like tells a certain story, or do you think it's just kind of a collection of different moments and like feelings over the last like year or so, or however long you've been working on it?
Yeah,
Probably the latter.
Mhm.
yeah, for sure. I think it's like more the culmination of just some of our thoughts while songwriting the last year. Yeah, you could say it's a story about, our band and where we are now, how we got there. But yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely hear that. And then you also talked about like the different sounds you kind of brought to the table with this EP. And I know for songs like Just for Fun, which is like a slower, which is no, that which is like more of an upbeat song, more of like a high tempo song versus songs like Don't Take It Away, which is more like intimate. Would you say that you like approach the song process differently when it comes to those 2 different types of songs?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think like, Aiden and I have been friends for quite some time now, so we bring a lot of fun and friendly aspects to our songwriting process, which definitely you can see shine through in songs like Just for Fun and Wait, and these more upbeat songs. But then I guess our, uh intimate relationship also provides us to create like really more honed in and more serious type songs. So it's a good dynamic that we have.
Yeah. And then could you guys like kind of walk me through like an average songwriting process for like you can choose one of the songs or just talk about it genuinely, like generally.
I think, yeah, I mean, it definitely depends per song, for sure, but we kind of have the same general process. It starts usually here or at uh, a temporary home studio in my dorm. Um, but it's really just either me, myself, or Zach himself, or both of us together, experimenting with a different like sound we have in our head or an idea. And usually I put it on to like a project or like a Logic session or something. I get a good like chorus down or like some kind of structure to the song. record some instruments for a demo. Then it's on to, writing it. Me and Zach sit down for a day and maybe just write a couple verses or just finish the song if we can. And yeah, then we just go over everything, record it. And then Zach likes to have enough time to add more things that we weren't thinking about, such as like tiny little things like ear candies that just pop up throughout the song. And yeah, once we're happy with it, which usually takes a while, we are ready to release it.
Yeah. And then I know like you guys are inspired by a lot of different kinds of artists and stuff like that. Was there any like specific album or artist that you were listening to a lot during the time you were making this EP that might have like influenced the sounds that came out?
I was listening to a lot of This Old Dog by Mac DeMarco.
I
It's
can
one of my
definitely
favorite albums. Yeah, it's also pretty diverse, but it's also very intimate and emotional. I don't know if there's anything from you, Zach.
I mean, I've been listening to a lot of like modern funk type stuff as of late, and I think that certainly rubbed off on the last song that we made for the EP. Like I mean, most recent song that we wrote, Daydreaming. Definitely a lot more jazz influence in things like that, and I think that's sort of the direction that we want to take in future projects. So yeah.
Yeah. And would you guys say you identify with any specific genre of music, or do you try to kind of stay like broad in like what you can make?
I don't think we've really limited ourselves to a specific genre, just because we often go in like these phases of just making random stuff, and like if we want to make a disco song, we'll make a disco song. So at the end of the day, if it's fun to make and people like listening to it, then I think that's the direction we want to take.
We've like thought about having like more elements of that genre in our music, but I think the more we put a label on ourselves, the more we limit ourselves to what we can do, when it really all just comes down to me and Zach being in one of our houses and just like messing around and just making a song that we want to make. And then if we choose later for other people to hear it, we choose for that to happen. But yeah, I think like we've always had pop elements in our music. So I guess if you want to say indie pop, but there's so much of a world to our music that isn't really captured in that name. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more creative for artists to like not pigeonhole themselves in certain like
Definitely.
sounds or genres, especially since you're like at the beginning of your career still. So I think that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
And then you both kind of seem to have a pretty eclectic like taste in music. So what kind of like music was playing in your house growing up that might have like influenced your taste now?
Aden, you want to go first?
Well, yeah, I mean, geez, my parents were crazy about like alternative music from the 80s and like new wave music, as well as just classic rock like the Beatles. I mean, I've been a classic rock fan since I was like probably like 11 or something, and I didn't really start listening to music that was made like now until a few years ago. But I think that influence has definitely played a huge part in our music that we make now. Zach, if you might want to talk about like European music or something like that. You
Well,
listen to, I don't know.
this is true. My mom is from Europe, so I had a lot of like Eurovision type music playing in my youth, just on CDs in like the basement, and that definitely has impacted the stuff that that we make today. And my mom's always excited to hear stuff that sounds like that. but also my dad is a big classic rock fan, and I remember listening to that all the time. And he's also a saxophone player, so a lot of jazz growing up as well. So
By the way, who's playing saxophone on, is it Daydreaming? I forgot which song it is.
yeah, that is me.
I really liked that, by the way.
Thank
That
you.
was a
Thank
really
you.
cool. That's definitely like another part of like the jazz influence where I can see you guys like kind of heading in that direction, which I am very excited for. And then also you guys both like have always grown up in the city of Philly, right?
Yep.
How do you think like being in such like a creative city has kind of like impacted your like art and like how creative you guys have like grown up to be?
Well, yeah, I think like we definitely grew up like, I mean, both of our uh parents and like family is all from the city, different parts of it, but um I don't know. I mean, growing up in a small town just right beside the city is just a very interesting feeling of growing up, because we were sort of affected by the the creativity in this like area. I feel like it's just a different demographic and different I don't know, energy to other cities than here. But yeah, and especially now that we do live in the city for college, and after that probably um we're really influenced by the other musicians and bands that are um getting famous now, and we've took a lot of inspiration from them. uh but yeah, it's definitely a great experience, but it's not always the same living in the small suburb that we do.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm from a suburb too, so it was always like I'm about 40 minutes out of Chicago, so it's like you have that outlet, but it feels very separate in a lot of ways. So
Yeah.
and then I'd love to hear like kind of the origin story of running in circles. Like, how did you guys come together? How did it come to be?
Ugh, well, I think in like way back when in like ninth grade,
Yeah.
um, Aden and I, Aden got GarageBand and I got FL Studio, and we would make like trap beats, and like when we would hang out, we would just make something and then like freestyle over it for fun.
And
Um,
just like the random like fuses of different things we would make, like quadeca inspired beats and stuff like that, and would think it was like so like creative and crazy. And yeah, then we started actually taking it seriously and started wanting to like make stuff that we were going to release, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
you guys started releasing stuff in, was it 2020 or 2021?
2021 we put out our first single, What Do You Mean, in around October, I think.
And how do you feel like you've kind of developed as artists, like since you've been to college and ever since that first release?
First of all, our songwriting, I feel like, has definitely, gotten a lot better. Oftentimes I just, when I'm listening back, like they're good tunes, but there's a lot to, pick out and be nitpicky from those four singles that we've released before this project. But I'm really excited now that we have six brand new songs that sort of represent how we've grown to like this current running in circles era right now, as opposed to like these more outdated kind of projects that we've worked on in the past.
Definitely. Yeah, we definitely grew a lot. um I think both of us being in college, and I guess just being more intelligent and mature, and knowing what other people like, maybe, and what we like.
Yeah, definitely. And then like one thing I'd like to know is like when you write music, do you picture the people listening to it like to be in a certain place? Like do you think this EP is best consumed like in a car or maybe like in a bedroom at like a club? Like where do you kind of picture people listening to this EP?
I was actually thinking about that the other day. It's funny you ask because I remember Tyler the Creator saying a similar thing for his album like Igor. And honestly, I don't think there's a right environment to listen to this project. I think, listen to it alone, listen to it with friends, listen, wherever you want. I think it just, it has it's such a diverse project that it has the ability to really fit any environment, I feel like. So whether you're happy, sad, you're gonna find something you like in this project.
Yeah, it also depends on like song to song, right? Like I feel like for some of the later songs in the EP, like maybe three, Daydreaming, or like Don't Take It Away, those kinds of songs be best like in a bedroom or something like that. But a lot of our songs are just made for wherever you feel like.
Yeah. And then would you say that like you curate any music to a certain kind of audience or a certain age group, or do you think this can really be consumed by anyone?
Running in Circles is for everybody.
Ages 6 and up.
You should put that on the
Like a Lego box.
yeah.
I think we have like, as our music is, very modern and has, as Aiden said, aspects of pop in it, but the way we make it also has these older influences that I think Aiden can probably attest to this as well. But our parents, when they listen to it, also are in love with it because it has like these older aspects of good music according to them. So I think it really is for any age group.
Definitely.
I feel like almost every song like represents a different decade. I was showing it to my sister and she was like every song she like named a different time period. And I was like, that's so true.
It's very true.
And then what would you say like for new fans or for people who have been listening to your music, what's one thing that you hope people will like walk away with after listening to this EP?
Who we are, I guess, is the biggest thing. I think for this EP, was really just about honing in on like who we are as a band and what kind of music we want to make and put out to the world. And yeah, I think just for newer fans who haven't heard us before, and for returning fans who were used to the fun little songs that we would release occasionally, I think it's definitely a good EP to just say, oh, this is who we are, this is who Running in Circles is, and something to think about later when we grow and improve that sound that originated from this project.
Yeah. To add on to that, I think Aiden said it perfectly. Like I think we want to establish with this project, we are establishing ourselves and just like separating it from the two kids in your high school who, release a song once every 4 months to, this is like a new baseline for our sound, our band, and sort of for more things to come.
Yeah, I could definitely see like the maturity kind of in your sound when comparing it to like some of your old releases, which were really good, but they're just like really fun. So I can see like this has a lot of intention in it, and I can see kind of where this is going to take you in your career. So very exciting. And then it's just kind of a fun question. If you could take credit for any album or any song, if you want to do that, ever created, like what would it be?
I would take credit for wait, did you say song or album?
You can do either.
Uncle Jazz by Men I Trust, I think, is something. If I can create, or if we can create something at such like at that kind of level of production quality, and that song or that album really like puts you in like a place, like it really sets the tone of wherever you are. If we can get to that point, and certainly if I had made that, or if Running in Circles had released that album, I could die happy.
Yeah, definitely like that, or like, geez, like, well, like I said, like This Old Dog by Mac DeMarco, one of my favorite albums, but also like probably David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, I think is like just start to finish like such a amazing album, and definitely played a huge part in like the songs that at least I like to make and stuff. It's just amazing. And yeah, no, I would definitely be able to die happy if I release that album.
I think the second to last song specifically, like in my notes, that's one thing I wrote down is like that album is like that David Bowie album and that second to last song. I was like, there's some inspiration there.
Interesting. Yeah.
Um, and then kind of getting into like your goals before we wrap things up, what would you say like your short-term goals are for this band? Like within the next year, what do you want to accomplish?
Shows,
Yeah.
definitely. Like live performing is one goal that we're like trying to achieve. And we will be starting to do that very soon. But yeah, as a short-term goal, that's definitely top of the list.
Right. And one direction we took when writing the CP was making these songs sound essentially the same when they're performed live and in the recordings you hear on Spotify and whatever streaming platform. So I think like using that, with that in mind, like these shows I think really can help emulate who we are, and it's not like the recording sounds different than the performance. So I think these songs were written to be performed, and I'm really excited to get out and like show these off to people.
Yeah. And then I've seen you guys perform, so I know you guys are very fun to watch and everything like that. Are there any like bands that you take inspiration from when it comes to like live performance and like stage presence?
I think like, oh wow, I mean, first of all, our first show that we played was a really amazing show, and it was great. And we were on the bill with another band that I've been like wanting to see, and especially wanting to play with, Wallace Tonight, which they were just amazing to watch. I don't know if you stayed for the end, but it was just mind-blowing performance. But I think like musically, they're definitely like someone I'm inspired by, who just like from song to song, they just totally switch it up and use element of surprise and just musicianship in their music so well. But I think like performance wise, I guess, um very inspired by like older bands and stuff like that, and the crazy flamboyant front man singers and guitarists from classic rock eras like that, I guess. What about you?
I think I agree, spot on. Nothing left to say.
Yeah.
Would you say like performing is kind of the most rewarding part for you guys? Or do you think it's like more so the songwriting process or like, I don't know, fan connection or something like that?
I would say performing is definitely like the light at the end of the tunnel, because you know we've been working on this project and locking ourselves away in Aden's room or dorm or whatever, and it's just like just working and working on like making these songs perfect, and finally being able to perform them for people, not finally accepting that the songs are done and like people can listen to them is definitely like the thing I look forward to most.
Yeah, same. I think like we are always like making things and songwriting, and I think it's definitely super rewarding once you get like that like groove down, like some like really cool verse and like chorus, and we look at each other and we're like, yeah, this is good. But yeah, performing is definitely, I think like near the end of the performance too, it's just like so relieving just being able to play and express the songs we've spent so hard working on.
Yeah. And then kind of going back to goals, what would you say like for long-term goals? If you could have your like ideal situation, let's say like 5 years down the line, where do you think you would want yourselves and Running in Circles to be?
Record label, record label, record label, record label.
LA on top of the world now. But yeah, definitely record label is the name of the game for us, I guess, or just working with other people in general, other management, because for so long it's just me and Zach, it's just us. And now that we're in college and stuff, we're starting to, make connections with different people like yourself, where we're trying to reach out to more people and maybe make a name for ourselves. And that's what we're set out to do, make a name for ourselves.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, is there anything else you kind of want to share or let people know before we wrap things up?
I advise every single person who decides to listen to this EP to show it to their parents too.
Yeah.
I think they will enjoy it equally as much.
Yeah.
That's
Even
my
if they don't stream it themselves, I think it would be very cool. But also, like, for anybody watching, thank you so much. And any returning fans who used to know us when we released our songs last year, thank you so much for sticking around, because we have a lot in store.
Yeah, it's been a long wait, but finally we can deliver.
Yeah.
And then can you guys drop your socials so people can find you on all the different social medias?
Yeah. On Instagram, our band username is Running in Circles Band. There you can find like pre-save links for the EP and also just a link to our Spotify and whatnot. And do you want like our personal ones too?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Me personally, I am ZachPack24 on Instagram.
And I'm Aden Dubin, probably. I think, yeah. But yeah, Running in Circles on pretty much all platforms. If you
So
look
you guys
us
have
up
a
and
TikTok as
see,
well, right?
what was that?
You guys have a TikTok as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're going to be seeing more posts by us very soon.
Awesome. Well, I am so excited. I thank you guys so much for coming on Modern Mixtape TV. It was very fun talking to you guys.
Thank you. You as well.
Yeah, so January 13th, Running in Circles, self-titled, gonna be out. It's gonna be really good. Everyone go listen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You guys have a great rest of your day.
See ya.
You too.